Hello, internet. You get to see all of our faces now. All the voices that you listened to 1,000 times in episode 1 and 2. You get to see the face reveal of everybody here today. I'm your host, Jacob. I have Casey with me.
Hello.
J-Rob. And Peter.
What's up?
We are your 4 co-hosts for this evening, for this episode. Where we will go over we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna open up some packs, and J-Rob's gonna tell us what we're going to be doing with those packs throughout this upcoming season, hopefully. And then after the pack openings, and when somebody pulls a Mike Trout, probably not me, we'll move on and we'll discuss a topic that Peter suggested that we'll do, which is talking about our favorite role players. And then after favorite role players, we're going to talk about the all-star selection process and what we like and don't like about it. And then along with that, we're going to have an all MLB kind of discussion, like an all NBA type of thing, and how we think that will do. And that'll kind of be the topics we're going to touch over. We'll go off on any tangents that we feel like. And outside of that, if you guys have any questions yourselves that you want to ask us, you can there's multiple ways you can reach out to us. The first way you can do it is by email, shagginballspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to our YouTube and leave a comment, which is Shaggin Balls on YouTube. We have a Twitch, which some of you might be here live watching the show. And that's at Shaggin Balls as well on Twitch, twitch.tv/ShagginBalls. And then we also have a Twitter. Casey runs it, so you can flame the M's when you add us on Twitter.
Don't flame the M's, please. I'll cry.
But that handle is at Shaggin Balls PC. And yeah, so that's all of our social media links. You can check us out on any platform that you guys prefer there. And we'll soon be on iTunes and Spotify. Maybe that's where you're listening to us for the very first time. And thank you all for joining us. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing. We're going to be talking about a topic that Peter suggested. Pete, you want to kind of intro and maybe give us your role player?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, stars especially on your team, people love all the time that, for me, Yankees, you got Derek Jeter, you got Mo Rivera, absolute stars that everyone loves. But there's also, for everybody in every team, there's the players that are role players, aren't doing as much for your team, but you just absolutely love them, like fan favorite type of guys, just, not putting up all the stats of the stars, but just absolute fan favorites. So mine that I came up with this is my guy, Melky Cabrera. Had some steroid scandals post the Yankees,
Post the Yankees.
Definitely was not doing that in my, dugout, my locker room, because we're a class organization. But yeah, Melky Cabrera, I just loved him. And also another one that I have is backup catcher, had a ton of concussions. So anytime we needed him, he got hurt. But I loved Francisco Cervelli. Went and played for the Pirates after. It was pretty decent for them, but again, concussion.
Yeah, he went well with those when the Pirates having those couple of runs in like the mid 2010s. He was part of those good runs.
Yeah, he was definitely helpful. So yeah, those are just 2 guys that came to my head that I loved, just role players, not stars. But so let's go with Casey. Who are some role players that you've loved?
So I have 2 that I came to my mind. My first one's Michael Young of the Rangers. He was like their good utility guy. He played some first, some second, some third, DHing. Like towards the end of his career, he kind of became that role player. And my second one's actually a current player, D. Gordon. I love D. Gordon, man. He's not getting as much playing time now, but man, team player. You just love the guy. D. Gordon's a good guy.
I think D Gordon has one of like the coolest moments in baseball with the Jose Fernandez thing when he passed away.
Mhm.
Right after.
Yeah, and D Gordon came up and just hit like the
Fun
only
s-
home run he's like ever really hit, and just like kind
Mhm.
of hit like him and then like everybody really emotionally. That was really
So
cool.
I have a story about D. Gordon. I have a couple stories
Great
about D.
moment.
Gordon.
All right, hit us.
So
with it.
yeah, D. Gordon is not a power hitter at all. Like he's just known for his speed and fielding, right?
He's
In
like
my
Casey at the plate.
lifetime, exactly. In my lifetime, I have seen 2 D. Gordon home runs live. I saw him in his first series as a Mariner against the Indians back in 2018. I was there for opening week. This dude unlaunched a bomb against, I think it was Trevor Bauer, and he like pulled out his best Ken Griffey stride. Oh, it was perfect. I loved every second of that. And my second one was last year in New York. I think it was the third game. I think he was going against, I want to say Masahiro, and he just launched one into Yankee Stadium. But I mean, Yankee Stadium is kind of like a youth park in a sense. It's I think like 200 down the line, like some ridiculous where. I mean,
basketball.
so I don't know if I count that, but I did see 2 D. Gordon home runs live. I don't know who else can say that besides his
Not many.
teammates.
I don't even know if D Gordon can say that.
Yeah. All right, let's go with let's go J Rob.
So I have 2. First one was kind of like, well, I mean, he was a Cardinals player for a long time, and then last couple of years he's been elsewhere. Matt Adams, aka Big City.
Yeah.
And he was just like a stud. Like he was first base. I mean, he backed up for Albert Pujols when Pujols was still there. And well, actually, no, he didn't come into the league till 2012, and that's when Pujols left. So he's kind of the reason, or with Pujols leaving, like why he came up, or is just like I guess good timing for that. But he's never like a huge power hitter. Like last year, some stats he had 20 home runs, which is good, 70 hits, 56 RBIs, only batted 226. He's just like. He's always kind of been like a clutch player, even with the Nationals.
Yeah, he's been with
years
the Nats.
ago.
Yeah,
The Nationals, and then Atlanta. He's going to be with the Mets this year, but he's just always been a solid player. My second person, I actually don't like this person whatsoever, but I feel like if this player was on my team, I would like him a lot, and that's Hunter Pence. I don't know if I could ever get over his or his batting stance or anything, or how he swings, but he's getting older too now, but he just always has seemed like kind of like a more clutch player, just like one of those annoying players that just, I don't know, is very scrappy type.
Yeah, it's very.
Just, I don't know.
It seems really uncoordinated. Did he started the All-Star game last year? I don't know if you guys remember that. It's the freaking DH.
I did not remember that. That's crazy.
I like those ones. Yeah, Matt Adams is a really interesting player. Like, I feel like he could have been like had a starting role at some point, but he's always like been like a fill-in kind of. I'm surprised he hasn't gone to the AL either. Like he's like weirdly like stuck around like the NL East. He also came back to you guys for a season, right?
Yeah, for like half the season. Yeah.
He likes the teams he's played for, those organizations. Anyways, so with my player, one of my players, I'm going to ask you guys a question. And the question is, who do you think of when I say fastest home run? Casey, who do you think of when I say fastest home run?
Like,
first player
we're
that
talking
comes
like
to your mind.
exit velocity, velocity, or like
first player that comes to mind.
Who's that dude? I think it was for the Braves. The dude like basically sprint. I don't know his name, but I can like picture him. Like he like had like the fastest trot last year or something. He just like basically sprint, or like Bryce Harper too. Like that's what I think of, like a fast home run. Came
busted out. Yeah. So yeah, you're pretty much dead on like where I'm going with it. I asked my brother that question, and he was like, Giancarlo Stanton. I'm like, yes, that's the answer I wanted. Like exit velocity, but no, I'm talking about
Sheffield is who came to mind for me.
Sheffield, yeah,
Sheffield came absolute lasers out.
So the player that I'm talking about is Adam Rosales, freaking hauling ass around bases. He just full on sprints. He's a utility infielder who's bounced around several teams. But yeah, he's like kind of known for like his sprint. Like he always has like the fastest home run trot for like each season, but he only hits like a couple. But he gets it and then he goes. So I want you guys to guess what you think his fastest home run time is. Pete, what do you think his fastest home run trot is?
Do you know, or what's roughly like the average for a home run trot?
I don't know the average. I should have looked that up. I should have given you guys more of a reference.
Good.
Yeah, I would guess 24, 5-ish seconds, something like that.
Jordan?
Ask Casey first.
Casey?
The fastest, I'm gonna go like 13 seconds.
Okay.
Good Lord.
Well, so I looked up the average speed. The average speed last year. Oh wait, never mind. This is a couple years ago. This is from actually 2010. It popped up, but it's 22 seconds is the average. I'd assume it's somewhat similar.
So Pete, you can give me a
I'd
guess.
say low teens. Like 12.
Yeah.
13.
12, 13 is where Casey and J-Rob are. Pete, you want to re-guess the 24?
I'll go 11 just to be that guy.
You guys are fast. You guys are fast. It's 15.88 is his fastest home run trot. He's got like others in the 16 area. Like Billy Hamilton like had one year where he was like had the fastest home run trot. And it was just because thought he was going for a triple, and then like the third base coach was like, "No, you hit it out, you're good." And then he kind of like eased up, but he still had like the fastest time. Yeah. So he played a few years for the Padres, and he's just like one of those weird guys that'll stick out in my head whenever I see somebody like start sprinting the bases. Another guy that I liked growing up. He played for the Padres in like the mid 2000s. I don't know if I think he was a Yankee for a little bit, but it was Xavier Nady. Xavier Nady is just the guy that I liked his name. It was cool. And then he had a streak with the Padres where he hit like, I think like 5 home runs in like consecutive games. So he had a fun little streak that sticks out to me as well.
Whenever I think of Xavier Nady, it reminds me of, for some reason, of Jason Bay. I just don't know why. Because they were both Pirates at the same. They're both Pirates at the same time, weren't they?
Yeah. He did play for the Pirates. Jason Bay.
Yeah, they were both Pirates, and then he came to New York after the Pirates.
Oh.
But yeah, was there anybody else you guys want to mention from like role players that kind of stuck out? If there's any other names lingering, I think David Eckstein was like more of a role player when he came to the Padres, but he's just like super scrappy. One of those guys you like. Love seeing compete on like a major league field against like just bigger, better athletes than him.
Did he go to you guys after the Cardinals? Do you know what year he was with you guys?
He was with us like 2010, I think was his last year with us. So I think he was with us 09-10.
Yeah, because he was 2006 World Series MVP with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he won his like Corvette or whatever.
Yeah, I remember he was always checking it out. He's like, "That's mine."
Yeah. One of my favorite memories, just as a Cardinals fan in general, but like it's of David Eckstein. It's literally, I can't remember where we were playing. I think it was the West Coast team. He was like faking bunt, and then he pulled back and then swung, and literally he's like D. Gordon, like does not hit home runs. The wall right here, ball. Like inches over the wall, literally right down the left field line. Like I was at my aunt's house. We were having some family gathering out of it. And that's just like
I know that home run. I know what you're talking about. It wasn't like a big home run, like multi home run too, like a 3-run shot or something.
It was a big play.
It was like an old
I can't remember
too,
exactly,
right? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Anyways, so that was great. I liked those guys. I was thinking about doing Brett Gardner for one, but I was like, no, I won't do it. So the next thing we're going to talk about is like it's something that's been on my mind a decent amount. Like we have awards at the end of the season and stuff. Like we have Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, MVP, Cy Young. One of the things I dislike about it is how we like hand all those awards out like double. I don't like that we hand it out like to both leagues because it kind of feels like it's more spread out. Even if like the running wasn't as like deep, it feels like we're giving some like shallow awards out to some people. And I really feel the same way about all-star selections as well. So that's what kind of the area we're going to kind of focus, or I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on is like the all-star selection and something like the NBA does that I think is kind of cool is that they have an all NBA team at the end of the year. I don't know how many teams they do. I think they go like 3 or 4 deep, all NBA teams, but
three.
they go.
It's 3 and 3 all NBA teams.
Okay, so they go 3 deep, and it covers like East and the West Conference. So both like conferences, both leagues.
There's 15 total.
They take the best like 2 guards, best 2 forwards, and like the best center, and they put like that collection of 5 players on the first all NBA team, second and third all NBA team. So it's like more of like a token of reward that players can really put on like their resume for like potentially going into the Hall of Fame or like showing off like peak seasons compared to the rest of their peers, I feel like. Whereas I think we throw around All-Star this like in a similar fashion almost sometimes, but it only feels like it's just like a first half performance. And I don't like how somebody can have a great first half and then they get that All-Star, but they didn't have a great second half, and we don't recognize that. So I don't know if we should have like an All-Star when we keep that, which I think is still, I'm not dissing the All-Star. I just don't like the nomination as like a recognition type of thing so much, because I wish we had like a part 2. Like I want to celebrate the people who also had a good second half, like someone who bounced back or something. I think that would be fun stuff to talk about. So I don't know if like a whole season long type of thing makes sense, but I kind of want to hear your thoughts, J. Rob, on how you feel about like kind of like the All-Star selection in general, what you like, what you don't like, maybe, and then your thoughts on maybe All NBA or maybe a completely new award or something for the fans to celebrate for like their players and stuff.
Yeah. So the first person I thought of when we first brought up this idea of like, I mean, even just recognizing the players in like the second half of the season was last year with Jack Flaherty, like the Cardinals starting pitcher, kind of like what he's become their ace. I mean, leading up to the end of the season and for most of the second half of the season, he had like the best stats for a starting pitcher in like all the MLB. Like his ERA was ridiculously low. His strikeouts were really good. He was going like a solid 7-8 innings almost every game. And he didn't make the All-Star game. But I mean, he didn't have the best first half, so like you don't expect him to go into the All-Star game. By the end of the season, he had a solid year put together with wins. I can't remember all of his stats. I didn't pull it up, but just like, I don't know. I feel like players like that should get recognized. Like obviously you're recognized in the first half with the All-Star game. There's players who do the exact opposite, like who fall off second like half of the year.
Yeah.
And then, but I feel like if MLB did do like an all MLB team, I think that would be really cool because maybe some of those players that were in the All-Star game aren't in that same team. I mean, a lot of them I'm sure would be, but I think it would be like a cool award or just kind of like you said, something on the resume that's going to help or just show like what you've done or like what the standout's been. And even just like, I don't know, as a player, like personally, like the awards, everything like that. I guess with the award, just saying like, oh, I was on the 2020 MLB all first team or whatever. Like that's just, I don't know. To me, if that was me putting myself in that place, like that's just mind blowing. And I guess that's almost with any award, but I feel like that's a big accomplishment. You say the All-Star game, but everybody knows that's first half or just first half of the season. So if you don't like, if you're good, anything like that, but then you get put like, practically it's the full season All-Star team. I think that's pretty dope. I would love to see something like that as what it mean and just to recognize actually like the players that maybe didn't have a bad first half, but was it great at a great second half and then, I don't know, rewarded for it. Maybe they don't though. Like they could still not make it depending on everyone else, but I think that's good. What was the second part you asked me? The other part of that question.
You know, I think you covered a lot of it because I can't really remember exactly. Because I really like the point about the Jack Flaherty discussion. Like, it's like maybe it's not the award or whatnot, but like a lot of the All-Star people get like just so much recognition while they're on like TV, like the updated All-Star votes, where they are, like who's making a late surge and stuff like that. Like where it's like a popularity contest. And I feel bad for somebody like Jack Flaherty who came on and like really like took over the scene. It's like this guy's like a top flight pitcher, but he doesn't get that recognition until, or that like the national scene is aware of him until like he gets to the playoffs. But that's like just if he gets there. It's not even like, I think second half is a lot more interesting than the first half because there's a lot more young talent getting like opportunity to like come up and prove themselves, where like a lot of aging vets maybe like fall off the roster and stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to cut you off. I think the second half is almost more intense too, just as a season in general, because I mean, unless your team that's not in contention, which there's a lot of teams that won't make the playoffs, but are still potentially in contention until like the last couple of weeks until they get knocked out. But everyone's just fighting for a playoff race. So, I mean, at 162 games, obviously in a regular season, not this year, won't be that, but like you're fighting like that second half of the season just hard. And so I think that speaks more to Jack Flaherty. Like teams are putting up a tougher fight, especially like teams we've been playing the division and everything, and he's still pitching really good. Not that players don't try in the first half or anything like that, but it's just, especially the closer you get to the end of the season, the more of like the playoff atmosphere regular season games.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pete, I want to get your feelings and thoughts on what we've been discussing as well. But along with that, I'd like to hear how you feel about like kind of like the all-star process and like what a real all-star means to you. Like maybe it's a little bit different for you as a Yankee fan, where maybe like if you guys have like Gleyber Torres or Didi Gregorius, who has like a good first half, like, is there a feeling maybe as the Yankees culture, like you guys can go and back that guy to get that all-star vote? And do you feel it's like, I don't know, maybe it's as impactful? Because like as a Padre fan, like there's nobody like we're just going to like surge up and get into the all-star game. So I wonder as the Yankee perspective, but also as a whole, how you feel about maybe the all-star, how there's always a chosen representative, and maybe how that just, it kind of dinks just, oh, this person is a one-time all-star, where it's like, I think it actually shows better players who are like 3-time all-stars or higher or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So definitely I'll just start off by like, you brought up the NBA point, and it's definitely like Hall of Fame credentials. All NBA is like way more important than an all-star vote, because like, I mean, there's so many players that are one-time all-stars, but never made an all NBA team. Like had a good first half or fan voting or all this stuff. So I definitely think, and it's like for the NBA All-Star, there's 24 players, but then to get to the All NBA at the end of the season, after the whole season worth, it's only 15. So I definitely think doing that would be like, it just shows a more representation of like your whole season, which is more impressive than just putting up a couple hot months in the beginning. So I definitely think that. And then you also brought up the like, I mean, baseball does have the Gold Glove, Silver Slugger awards at the end of every year. And the NBA kind of similar with like, I mean, they have the all defense team as well as the all NBA team.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think having an all NBA team, all MLB team would be, because it's like has to show you're combining all the skills for baseball, which would be more impressive. And then I think, just doing as well, like you said, where you just do 2, maybe 3 teams, but it's just like 9 regardless of conference, I think would be like, it just like, especially when you're going into like Hall of Fame debates and like, you know, career debates, type of those things. I think that would be really awesome to just have that like extra, like, oh, they made 5 straight all MLB teams. Like, that's, if you're one of the top 3 players at your position for 5 straight years in your career, like that's super impressive. And then to go lead the,
no, go ahead. It was just a thought. I was just gonna say, like, all-star nominations, you guys know it as NBA fans, but also MLB fans, like how a name can get you in to like the last like all-star game, but it's like you're not really an all-star. Like, we put Jeter in, like, I don't, like, Jeter should be there, like Kobe Bryant should be there for like their last all-star games and stuff. And it's fitting, but it's like that's gonna go on like the resume as well, kind of thing. And it's just, they're not going to go on the all NBA team at the end of the year.
At the end of the season,
just because of a name.
Yeah, and then so that's, I've definitely like you said, like if you make 1, maybe 2 all-stars, like, you know, it can happen. But I think once you get to 3 or more, but then there's people that just like are getting on because of who they are, rather than like regardless of the season you're having or anything. And then just like talking about the All-Star in itself, like I definitely think there are too many All-Stars right now, because it's like, you know, you have pitchers come out, face one bat, and obviously like you're not trying to pull out actual season, but I think like, you know, by the ninth inning you have All-Stars, but like they're, you know, bottom of the barrel, like good, obviously good players to make an All-Star team, but I think it'd be way better to have less All-Stars and maybe like, you know, 4 innings for the first set of guys, 5 innings for the second set of guys, and you're just having like a more elite team. I think that would just be more fun for the fans as well as like even the players. Like that competition, like what they've done with the NBA All-Star one, where they like the players drafted themselves, like maybe doing that with baseball too, where it's like it's been way more competitive the past like 2-3 years because they're taking it a lot more seriously. And so I feel like by not letting the like superstars be like, okay, I'm gonna go out, get one at bat, play 2 innings in the field, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Like if you get them to take it a lot more serious, I just think that would be way more exciting.
Yeah, I like that.
So I would like to cut down the number of All-Stars there are, which helps with the like career argument as well, because you know I have all these people like piling up All-Stars that aren't necessarily the top of the line players.
Yeah.
As well as, and then like you said, the Yankees, obviously we have like multiple All-Stars every single year. And when you brought up the voting thing, it reminded me there was one time when Jason Giambi was like the guy the Yankees, I can't 100%, I'm 99% sure they got him into the thing over some like up and coming guy that was like having a way better season, but it's like Jason Giambi playing for the Yankees. So it's like, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, it's exciting as a Yankee fan to have my players in the All-Star game to root for, but it's like, he doesn't necessarily deserve that over.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Better players. So it's kind of like more of an exhibition game, you know, rather than, that's why like, I think all like MLB would be a great idea.
Yeah. I think there was a weird like surge where like the Royals like fan base started like hard like voting their like team players, and
they had all 9 guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they're like, all right, we're gonna change some of this. How it's
changing
going.
the rules. Same thing happened with basketball too, where they had who was it?
I think didn't AI make it as like a freaking Grizzly or something? Allen Iverson. Like just because he was so popular, like just his name, and it's just like, okay, he's not even playing, but he's gonna be starting as an All-Star.
There's some foreign basketball player like 3 years ago. That's why they changed the NBA voting, because like
there was
until the last day. Who was it?
Zaza Pachulia.
He's from Georgia. Yeah, Pachulia.
Yeah, that's freaking
and
great.
Like because the whole country just decided he was making the All-Star game. So it was until like the last vote when they updated and it's like, no, he's not in. And it's like, who knows whether he actually got the most votes in the NBA. It's like, we're not having Zaza Pachulia start the All-Star game, but like they changed it. So that's like, it kind of makes it way more of an exhibition game, which is why I think the all MLB idea is great, because it's like way more serious. And then the exhibition game of the All-Star game is like not as serious, because that's all that's like counting up for your like Hall of Fame candidacy eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. J-Rob, did you have a thought?
Yeah, sorry. 2 things super quick, brief. Pete, I guess you kind of touched on it already, but like and for everybody, do we feel that like New York, Boston, LA, those players have a better chance of making the All-Star team because they're going to get more votes because there's more, they just have a bigger fan base? I mean, they've changed it a little bit, but isn't at least a good majority just like fan voting for like how you get into the All-Star game?
I still think it's like there's a good chunk of it, but it's not completely dependent on it like it was a few years ago, like the NBA was too. I think both the NBA and MLB have like, they still obviously want the fans to get excited and hyped and stuff because it's like marketing. They want people to build interest, but it's not completely dependent on it. I think the interesting part is with the All-Star stuff, it's only impactful for the starting lineup. So obviously MLB has like 8 starters for position players. I guess 9 if you have the DH. So there's more impact there, but like they can't impact the reserves. So I mean, yes, I do think so because Matt Kemp was a freaking all-star last year, and guess what? He's out of the freaking league because he's trash. But he had a okay first half. Sorry, that's a little anger.
Yeah.
No, you're good. But yeah, I thought there's like, I think the players and coaches vote on like either the starters or the reserves or something like that, and then the fan voting is like the other. I can't remember for sure, but I think it is something like that.
Yeah.
Also with that, I have my opinion about this, but I don't hear your guys' as well. What do you think about the change the All-Star or the MLB made to the All-Star game a couple of years ago, and they took like the meaning, because it used to be the winner of the All-Star game would determine either the NL or AL which team in the World Series got home field advantage. It's like that they changed it. Do you like it the other way?
Yeah, I definitely like that they changed it because, like, if you have 15 more wins than the other team, like, you earned home advantage, and it matter. And that's where it comes back to, like, the people playing in the ninth inning aren't the people that should be deciding the game if it's like meaningful. So, like, you can't have somebody from the Rockies struck out when you had a guy on third to give you home field advantage in the series, and the Rockies were eliminated in August, like had no chance of the playoffs. So that's why I would like it to have some meaning where it's like a more consequential, exciting game, but not, like, you shouldn't have it having any impact on the World Series or playoffs, I don't think.
I think, because I feel like almost if there was meaning and previously, because the managers of the All-Star game, and this is still the case, the managers who were in the World Series the year before are the managers for next year's All-Star game. Next year will be the Nationals and the Astros manager for the managers for the All-Star game. I feel like, and before they obviously, or I don't know. I think they do or did try to obviously win. Everyone wants to win, but there's not as much meaning anymore. At the same time, Pete, you bring up getting the most wins, and to pick on you because you're a Yankees fan, you got 103 wins last year, but at the same time, you have the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays in your league. Those are two of the worst teams in all the MLB. Not the two worst teams, but those are two trash teams. 103 wins in that division isn't anything spectacular. I mean, it is a good mark. Anytime you hit 100 wins, that is good. You literally have the worst team in. Maybe not win-loss wise, but that's a lot of free wins. How many wins did you get from the Oilers? From Baltimore this year? I can't remember saying that.
Weber had a lot of home runs against him.
Yeah, Weber hitting 70% is a ridiculous number. Yeah, we got a ton of wins, and that is definitely an interesting point. Maybe you could make it your out of division record or something. Plays often, or maybe your NL record versus their AL record. That could be interesting.
That would be.
So it's because there's definitely scenarios where you get a feast on the crappy teams within your division and just build up on that. But Casey, we haven't heard from you in a while. What are some of your thoughts on?
I mean, I don't have a lot to say on this topic. At least on the meaning of the All-Star game, because as a Mariners fan, it doesn't matter.
Don't see the All-Star game.
I mean, and it's hard because as a small market team, it kind of goes back to what you were saying. Being in Seattle, we don't have a lot of we have star players. We don't play meaningful baseball. So I guess an all-star recognition is nice for us in a sense because it kind of gets our name out there. But one idea I did have about the all-pro team, all MLB team is along with that is players like the Mariners or the Rangers that don't necessarily have a ton of all-stars, aren't going to build Hall of Fame resumes, have kind of what college football does, has an all AL West team to where players within your division that are valuable to their team can get recognition as well for what they did that year. Mitch Haniger, when he was healthy, JP Crawford for them. Who else am I thinking of? Daniel Vogelback. He was an all-star last year, but no one knew who he was. And the reason he was there is because you have to have someone from each team represent your team in the all-star game. And who else the Mariners going to send, So I guess I like having more recognition, but I also want to see like you have like tiers of it. Like either have like 3 levels of like your MLB first team, MLB second team, MLB third team, or like your all MLB team with your all division team. Just something that get more recognition out. Like I feel like an all-star game, like going back to your guys' points, like you can have a great first half and then just completely fall off. And so I don't have a lot of all-stars on my team, so I don't really care. It's just fun to see the best players out there. And that's what I kind of do. I like to see like the showcase of like the best players. And that's why I kind of disagree with you, Pete, on like meaningful baseball or like, because if it means something, like if you're like, it's an all-star game. Like you're there because you were chosen amongst the MLB players or the fans. Like you're having a good year regardless. Even though like someone on the Rockies could be up there, that someone on the Rockies could be Nolan Arenado. Like there's players there that aren't just like average players. They're all like they are an all-star, and like that's not a given. Like you do have to earn that. It's not just like it's easier on some clubs compared to like the Mariners or like the Pirates, the Reds, like the White Sox. Like you have to earn your spot on that team. So I think there should be more meaning about it. I don't know necessarily deciding home field advantage in the World Series, because you could have the Yankees relying on home field advantage to someone batting on the Orioles. Like I get that point, but it's also they're all stars there. So that's my thoughts on it.
I get that. That's definitely interesting too. What are your guys' thoughts on like you vote for the starters, but they're actually the closers? Like they play guaranteed the last like 2 innings or 3 innings or whatever. So like rather than Mike Trout, is gone by the 3rd inning at best, like he comes in for the 8th and 9th inning. So like they're starters, but really they're like playing at the most important part of the game.
Well, I think that I don't know if I agree with that. Just because for ratings wise, like you want your starters, because there's a lot. They have like the whole like starting like lineup show where they announce the rosters and like the lineups. And like if you think about it, like a game could be determined in the first inning. You could have like a 10-run inning and they couldn't recover from that. So it's like I think the whole game is important. I kind of like the format how it is right now. Like you vote your starters in, like the people that are there, because like starting in any sport is like you want to start. You don't want to sit on the bench. So I get where you're coming from, but it's also like I feel like the players they have, like, because going back to my point, these are all stars. Like they're good players. They're not just, unless you're Daniel Vogelback. But that's just how I view it, at least. I don't know. What do you guys think?
J-Rob is a team that also actually has playoff aspirations. What are your thoughts?
Hey.
Someone else asked me something, I can't respond to that. Just kidding. So, well, at your point or what you asked actually kind of got me thinking. I'm like, maybe that would be a good idea. But I do agree with Casey. Like, not just like the opening ceremony or just what the All-Star game is. Like, they make it a big deal. It is a big deal that you make the All-Star game for the most part, more times than not. But yeah, like if you put up a bit, like they even put up like 5 runs in the first inning, like that's tough to get over in any game, even with the team full of all-stars. Like it's still baseball. You have players every year who are some of the best players in the league that will go 0 for 2, and that's not that bad, but they only get 2 at bats. But it's just, baseball is one of the only sports, or probably the toughest sport to be consistent at. You can always be a good player, but you still have off days. So, as in every sport, but baseball's a lot harder. Like trying to hit a 99 or 100 mile per hour fastball, or like different things like that. You're also going up against the best pitchers like in the league. So it's both sides. I don't know. I do feel like the All-Star game should have some meaning. What meaning, I have no idea. I did like how it did factor who got home field advantage in the World Series, just because honestly at that point of the year you can maybe guess who's going to be in the World Series, but you still have just under half a season. We could literally be, even though like October when the Yankees were in the World Series and there was a Baltimore player up to bat back in July, like no one knew that was actually going to affect anything. That Baltimore player didn't like Chris Davis didn't freaking try to strike out on purpose or anything like that. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think they're all competing, especially if it has meaning. If you go play pickup ball, yeah, you're going to try, you have fun. If you're in a men's basketball league, like you're going to try a little bit harder. Like anytime there's meaning, try a little bit harder, you go a little bit extra. All-Star game might be a little bit different because people don't want to get hurt. But yeah,
and to add to that, I know there's player incentives as well. Like if you're an all-star and you're on the winning side, you get a bonus. Like it's not just they're playing just for shits and giggles. Like you do get a cash reward for winning on your team. So I do think players are motivated playing it. It's not just like, oh, because I've definitely thought about this too. Like what's a player, let's say that's on the Reds? Why is he in the bottom of the ninth? Like, why does he care that to win the game? You know, like if he's not in playoff contention and he's, you know, like why is he there? What's the money? Like,
you would care more. Like compared to like Mike Trout in the bottom of the ninth. Yeah, like Mike Trout wants to win, but Reds player isn't making the bucks that Mike Trout is making. So like a few, however much money it is, it's probably chump change to what Mike Trout is actually making. Like that incentive for him, yeah, it's more money, but like I don't think is as big as like say someone who just snuck into the All-Star game, or is like the one player representing like a team that didn't have a player already on the roster or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's all really interesting. I think just to sum up my thoughts about the All-Star game itself is it's an exhibition game. It's a good mid-season break for the players. I think it's a celebration of the top talent. I think the requirement of having every team to have a representative is fine. I think that's good for everybody to have somebody to root for, everyone to have a rooting interest into the game. But if that is the case, I don't think it should have any impact like the World Series home field advantage, because why would you then get a person from every team, like from the Orioles, from the Marlins, just like those teams who might have an all-star player, but they might not, but you have to give them somebody, you know? So it's just like, I think it should be more relaxed. So if it's not like super competitive, that way, like at least they can try to get in like everybody into the game to at least have their moment in an all-star game. If it's like their only all-star game, you want the kid to get in if it's going to be his only all-star game. So I think it should be more about a celebration of all the stars. I think what's really cool about the broadcast stuff is how they can have like the interviews while they're like out on the field, and it's much more engaging like with the actual players and the talent on the field. Gets you like more enwrapped in like what they go through, or like the discussion, like the spring training stuff with like Rizzo and Bryant, where they were interviewing both of them and they were having like commentary back and forth, like just more stuff like that. I think will be really fun as well. But it sounds like everyone likes the idea of an all MLB or the all division team, just to give more recognition for like complete seasons. Like Peter said, like we have the Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, but it would be cool to have the recognition for like a really good year. Like all we really have to show for somebody who's had a good year is like where they finished in MVP voting. It's like, which is like 20 slots. And it's like, if they finished in there, then that's something they can speak to. I think the all MLB would be interesting to have, because I think, Casey, you're talking about how you guys didn't have all-stars, but a player that came to my mind that while you were talking was Felix Hernandez. And it's like, if you had Felix Hernandez get like on like 3 or 4 all MLB teams, wouldn't that mean a little bit more as like a Mariner fan?
Yeah, well, it gives him more of a chance, because I mean we only have 2 Hall of Famers, and Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr., and Edgar Martinez. So it would definitely help more like build resumes, because the same with like Ichiro. Like these guys have never seen a playoff game, and so for them to get those votes and get on those like all MLB teams, those all division teams, like it would help build a resume for them. Just to kind of give us as fans something more to feel appreciated about, because like as a fan, like it sucks like to see like the Yankees or like the Red Sox, the Dodgers get like 5 or 6 all-stars, and we can barely scrap by with Daniel Vogelbach, and it's like he gets one at bat. So it's like we don't get as much recognition. I'm sure you kind of saw that with like the Padres in years past.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more recognition just for like the bottom tier teams or lower market teams that can't produce as much talent.
I think your all division
And it kind of
like is really smart. That would be really cool. Just like
and yeah, just 'cause like it just helps players like feel appreciated and like it recognizes players like I said, Felix Hernandez or like Ichiro. Those are two prime examples of Seattle players that wasted their primes in Seattle, and so they didn't really get any recognition.
Yeah, I
You know
guess
what they could
wasted,
do?
but that's something you have, man. Like that's so cool to have that. Like that's for me as a Padre fan. Like I hold on to like the Jake Peavy season where he got the side like the triple crown where he had like the 19 wins, like the 2 ERA, and he like led the league in strikeouts. Like that's something like I hold
don't
on
get me
to.
wrong, like it's
So I
yeah,
don't
like
wanna-
we definitely
I
have
wouldn't
like
want him
Keen
having it on
Felix.
somebody else.
Yeah, well, like Felix starting the 2014 All-Star game. You know,
Yeah.
Jeter's last game. That's kind of cool to see that, and like count how many countless Ichiro All-Star starts that he had for Seattle. Like that's like what put us on the map, I guess. But it'd be nice to keep like consistently being like like having our name out there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I really enjoyed hearing what all you guys had to say. Is there any final words before we I think we're going to be wrapping here soon. But anything else as far as the all MLB stuff, or maybe just new awards that you would, I don't want to ask new awards. Maybe that's another topic we can go into, like with StatCast, all the stuff that we can actually measure now. I think there's probably a good opportunity for the MLB to like celebrate some stuff that hasn't been able to hasn't been able to celebrate back in like the past. I think that's maybe kind of MLB's ruggedness is they don't want to change things because they have such a rich history with some stuff and like the awards that they're pretty hesitant to do that. But I don't know. What do you guys have to say? Anything else?
Go M's.
Go M's.
There's this idiot M's fan I know. There's an idiot Mariners fan that I know. And let me just tell you, I mean, I respect a couple players from their franchise, but I met this guy and it's just like my respect level went down immensely.
Ooh.
It's just embarrassing to be around that guy.
Cardinals over Yankees in 6, World Series 2020.
What do you say?
And then you woke up.
You turned your PlayStation off.
I woke up the day after and freaking partied because the Cardinals beat the Yankees. That's no way.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me again for episode 3 of Shaggin Balls. And we hope all of you guys enjoyed. Goodbye, Internet.